Have you ever wanted to smoke St. Louis style ribs that are tender, juicy, and packed with flavor? What if I told you it's easier than you think? And no, you don't have to go all the way to St. Louis to get that flavor. Stick around and I'll show you how to get those ribs just right, whether you're a first timer or you've been looking to up your barbecue game. Let's get started. Hey, I'm Corey and I've been all about backyard barbecue for the last 10 years. Today we're working with spare ribs and turning them into clean, beautiful St. Louis style cuts that are perfect for the smoker. I'll walk you through the trimming step by step and toss in a few tips to make sure your ribs come out perfect. Now, before we fire up the smoker, let's talk real quick about the different rib cuts because not all ribs are the same. Baby backs are smaller and leaner and cook quicker. They're super tender and great for a fast cook, but they tend to be a little bit pricier. Then you got spare ribs. These are larger, meatier, and tend to be a little bit cheaper. These are the ones that we're working with today. St. Louis style ribs are just spare ribs that have been trimmed down. The breastplate and the rib tips are cut off to give that rib a nice, clean, square shape. It makes for a more even cook and looks awesome on a plate. Knowing the difference helps you save money. When it comes to trimming the ribs, you'll need a sharp boning knife or a chef's knife and a sturdy cutting board. Now that you got your tools ready, place the whole spare rack of ribs on your cutting board. Have the bones facing up. Start by finding the cartilage area near the end of the rib. This is where we're going to make our first cut. You're aiming to trim the rib tips and the breastplate off, leaving a clean square shape. Make sure your cuts are nice and straight. A sharp knife is key here, and you want to avoid those jagged edges. And don't rush the process. A clean cut will make your ribs look much better and cook more evenly. Don't toss those rib tips. They're great for adding flavor to other dishes like baked beans. Trimming at home saves you money. Spare ribs cost less per pound than St. Louis style ribs. And doing the cut yourself only takes a few minutes. You'll also get full control over how they're trimmed. And you can keep those flavorful rib tips for another dish or a smoky snack while the main racks are cooking. If you're new to backyard barbecue and want a little extra help with cooking times and temperatures, I've got a free guide that makes everything super easy for you. It covers everything from meats to veggies, and it's perfect for getting started. Just drop a 100 in the comments and I'll send it your way. Once your ribs are trimmed, it's time to season them. I like to keep it simple with a dry rub. Here's my go-to recipe for smoky sweet rub that works perfectly on St. Louis style ribs. Brown sugar, paprika, dry mustard, sea salt, garlic powder, onion powder, and ground coriander. Mix it all up and coat your ribs generously on both sides. After applying the rub, let the ribs sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. This gives the seasoning a chance to settle in, which is going to enhance the overall flavor of your ribs. Now, let's get into how to smoke these St. Louis style ribs the right way. For the best results, keep your smoker or grill at a steady temperature, between 225 degrees Fahrenheit and 250 degrees Fahrenheit. This slow and slow cook helps break down the collagen in the meat, making the ribs nice and tender without drying them out. And I recommend a modified 3-2-1 method for the pork ribs. Smoke them for about 3 hours, wrap them in foil for about 2 hours to keep the moisture in, and then unwrap them and cook for another 30-ish minutes with a glaze to finish them off. How do you know when your ribs are done? Well, your ribs are done when the meat is pulled back from the bones about 1/4 of an inch. And when you pick them up, they should bend but not break. You can also use a meat thermometer. The internal temperature should be right around 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, let's talk about finishing these ribs with some sauce. St. Louis style barbecue sauce is distinct. It's a bit tangy, a little sweet, and has a rich smoky depth. The key ingredients typically include ketchup as the base, providing the sweetness and the tanginess, apple cider adds a nice acidity and balance to the sweetness. Brown sugar gives the sauce a deep, caramelized sweetness that complements the smoky ribs. Worcestershire sauce adds a complexity and a savory umami flavor. Mustard brings a little bit of tang and balances the sweetness. Paprika contributes to the smoky flavor and the color. St. Louis style barbecue sauce is tangy, a little sweet, and has a bold smoky kick. It's thinner than Kansas City style sauces and has a stronger vinegar backbone, which helps cut through the richness of the pork ribs. It's a perfect finisher without overpowering the meat. Like I said before, add the sauce towards the end of the cook. Once that glaze has set in, remove the ribs from the smoker. Let them rest for about 10 minutes and then slice and dig in. Take a moment to notice that sticky sauce, the smoke ring, and the juiciness of the rib. Now you know how to make St. Louis style ribs at home like a pro, but here's the thing. It isn't the only way to cook ribs. Take a look at this video right here where I cook ribs in a vertical barrel smoker. I'll see you there.